This podcast is supported by listeners like you. We're grateful for your tax-deductible donation at newthoughtphilly.org or the link in the episode description.
A practical prayer is a prayer that works.
These discussions between Reverend Bill Marcioni and Carol Lawrence dive into the details of how it works and how to work it.
Reverend Bill is a New Thought minister and the author of Practical Prayer for Real Results.
Your new life begins with a new thought.
Carol Lawrence is on a spiritual quest, finding the New Thought teaching after decades on the pulpit in 3 different traditional denominations.
I've got some questions.
Together, they're exploring the philosophy and activities that come together from many of the world's religions to create the practical spirituality that is New Thought.
Welcome to the Practical Prayer Podcast. I'm Carol, here with Reverend Dr. Bill Marcioni.
I'm looking forward to an intriguing conversation today, and I'm not sure what the topic is going to be. It was whittled down to 2 before we started, and Carol is now going to reveal what we're talking about.
Well, you absolutely know I'm not taking the easy one.
Of course not.
Of course not.
Although that would let me use the joke that I have about.
Okay, sorry
I'll
about your joke.
later.
You may be able to still okay. So I'm within the frame of my work in ministry over, as a pastor for 30 years, and even now in the framework with which I will continue until it's over. I firmly believe that what is the present circumstance, the real life experience, has to be a focus. I won't say the focus because that might be a whole nother thing, but a focus, because getting through a day sometimes is very difficult. Getting through a situation, a real life situation, a tragedy, a joy, whatever, is a right now experience. And I think it's so important to allow us to explore the spiritual dimensions of of the life that we are living each day and in each moment. So right now, it's very difficult. It's challenging. It's frightening. It's crazy. It's whatever you want to. There's all of those, adjectives and more, and what's going on really all over the world, actually, but specifically in my life space in the United States, it's daily challenging to see that. And one of the things that has resulted from that in my personal experience is that I no longer feel at home. I no longer feel at home and comfortable in my own community. I don't feel that way in the United States. I feel threatened, not bodily threatened, not like that, but I feel threatened in terms of my comfort in all that I was committed to and pledged allegiance and all that kind of stuff has not just my allegiance, what my belief was, does not come into question, but that which I did believe feels like it's being threatened and taken. We all understand what that means. And there are people that I know that are exiting this country voluntarily, because they're just like, I'm not doing this.
Right.
And I get it. I really get it. But I stop and say, wait a minute, Spirit, what's going on here? Like, what the heck is going on here? I know that this is not my home. I know I'm just passing through. There's a wonderful Muslim gentleman that's in one of my communities, and he always quotes Rumi. He said, we're just walking each other home. Mm-hmm. And every time he says that, it kind of brings a tear, because it's saying that, okay, let's be reminded that we're just walking each other home, helping us get through all of this excrement. He would quote this even before the excrement started. So This really doesn't make any difference to that, but it's so relevant, so much. And I'm pausing in my own world, trying to step back from my own concerns, my fears, my whatever questions, and say, Spirit, what's going on here? I know we're just on our way home, but there's stuff going on that I think we need to pay attention to, although I may not know exactly what all of that is. What is mine to know? What's mine to do? What's mine to understand in this place that we are right now? And I'm thinking of, I have grown children, I have grandchildren, and more. So what I have to be, I desire to be solid, not control freaking. Now, it's not that, but I desire to be steady and solid in terms of being in alignment with what is going on in this. And I'm inclined to think that it's not all that unnatural.
To feel
Do you
that
know
way?
what I mean? Well, to feel that way, and this which is going on is not something that, like, no folks from outer space dropped into our world and changed everything. It's just humanity doing what humanity does. But it's timing. Is this a timing? I made it through the pandemic, and I take that very seriously. Probably because I know so many people that didn't. So since I did, and I'm living here right now, I'm almost saying I'm privileged to be here at this moment. What is mine to do? Because I don't have to be here. And I don't want to get all hung up in fear, emotions, blah, 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 and miss something really, really important that I can be a part of helping us get through this. So that's it. What do you got to say?
To quote one of my teachers, that's a lot. And that would be you. So as you were talking, the thing that popped into my mind is the Buddhist saying, before enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. And the reason I think that applies right now is that the environment that we're living in right now is filled with chaos. So the government that's running the United States of America right now thrives on chaos and keeps on doing chaotic things and changing the rules and changing the game and taking things that used to be dependable and predictable and reliable and making them or not. And that chaos has thrown a lot of assumptions into upheaval. And the reason that they're able to do that is that people previously were dissatisfied with the way things were going. And they said, well, let's just tear it all down and start over again. And, we got a guy who's great at tearing things down, but not that great at planning to put them back together. That's my personal opinion. Things have not snowballed far enough that everybody can see what the results of it are going to be. And, before chaos, it was whatever level of peace and harmony and predictability and balance you had in your life. And the challenge is, after chaos, to have that same state of mind, even with the chaos going on, because it's so easy to get wrapped up in it. That's one of the things about somebody who's behaving chaotically, is they're grabbing lots of attention, and there's always something to pay attention to. There's always something new to react to. And that can make us feel uncomfortable. And I think that's the intention. And the other part that you're talking about is that now we don't know how everybody else feels about the current, latest, newest version of chaos and change and tumult and turmoil that's going on. And there are some people who currently are okay with the part of it that they're paying attention to. And maybe they're upset about a different part of it, but finding that sense of community that we used to have just with random folks in our neighborhood is much less likely. And that dependability has been greatly undermined. And if we attach our state of mind and our equilibrium and our worldview to the experience of chaos that we're being exposed to or not, then somebody is able to grab it from us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a lot too.
Yeah, but that's but that's very real. I think this whole thing is going to be a lot for us, and I actually think that that's part of it too, because we were in such relative ease in a lot of ways, and we called it in my ethnic community the sleeping giant. Don't think for a moment the giant is dead. The giant is asleep. And there's always been that warning that giant is going to wake up. But when you're so comfortable and things are going so well, you forget about the giant. And here's something and I guess I really take things really personal and seriously. That's just me, I guess. But I can stop. And I was in a shopping center and I was thinking about, I was coming out of the fresh fruit market and I had all this stuff and I stopped right in the middle of it. And I said, okay, so you well know that you are good at this. You know that. Stop and just look around. And the stop part was, you're not getting hung up on the daily stuff that comes out on the news and the independent news. There's no truth here. It's whatever button you push and whoever's opinion is whatever. The only truth is God. That's the only truth you've got. So, Carol, I'm letting you in on the Carol conversation here. Okay, Carol. So what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You know there is one truth. Get a grip on your little self and zero in on that. Because otherwise, you're spinning in the wind. Mm-hmm. What are you talking about? You're uncomfortable. First of all, what are you doing getting comfortable anyway?
How dare you? How dare you get comfortable?
So I start to laugh about those things because it's like I'm feeling something beyond what's right here in my face. And you know what? Get a grip on your little self. And I tell people that a lot, and it's come to me like, get a grip on your little self. But it's far more urgent for some because fear takes over. And like, well, what's going to happen if? And here's the biggie. If a certain person steps off the edge of the earth in the next 10 minutes, hey, things are not necessarily going to go back the way they were. Mm-hmm. Get a grip on yourself. This is bigger than one person, especially one that's got some years attached to them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything is going to end and everything's going to transform and change. And, the pandemic lockdowns happen and everybody's looking forward to things going back to normal. And then it was going to be the new normal. And then a lot of the new normal wasn't really that new. And some of it doesn't seem normal. And so where are we left? And it's an unfolding. And it continues to be an unfolding. And yeah, when the chaos settles down, what's that going to look like? Are we going to go back to the way that things were? Are we going to be able to actually do better if we start over again? I mean, I can give you a laundry list of things that I think are going to be trouble. And some of them are already troubling to me. And everybody has a different list. And that's okay. And the growth continues to happen. Change continues to unfold. And there are lots of stories about civilizations, governments, countries that have had some democratic freedom and then gone into an authoritarian strongman leader kind of thing, and then gone back. And we know that it changes and morphs and unfurls itself in different ways. England used to be the center of the civilized world. And before that, it was Rome. And, so stuff changes. And does it matter which country we're sitting in? Does it matter which demographic we're sitting in, whether we're going to call something good or bad? It's a thing, and it's going to change. Something different is going to happen. So before chaos, chop wood and carry water.
That's the good news.
Yeah. And after chaos, chop wood and carry water. And the objective is to be able to maintain our equilibrium as we go through all of this chaotic nonsense. And yeah, I'm calling it chaotic nonsense because I can. Who's going to stop me?
Well, I think, but I also think that it's correct. And something you said a couple of episodes ago, we didn't have a chance to talk about it when you said it, but I thought it was really great, and I didn't want to let it go. You use the term "good" that comes out of it. Like sometimes there has to be a shakeup, and there's some good. And in the middle of the storm, it's hard to focus on that. Yet, that is the truth of it. Do you know what I mean? When I stood there with the fruit in my bags of fruit, I stopped and said, "What are you doing? What is the truth of this? There is good. Okay, I can't do anything about the negative." And I use the term window, which really probably equates to what you're saying, change. It's not going to last. Okay, so I have a window. I'm not directly responsible for anything one way or the other in terms of this. But while you crazies are doing this, right? I'm not directly necessarily on a deep level affected. I might be, but at this moment I'm not. So I'm looking at the window. What do I need to address in my own life so that when things settle or whatever, is my own life better than it was before? So let me give you an example that I've used with other people. If your credit score was equal to your body weight before all of this, you're going to be in the same sad shape, no matter how it turns out. So in this window, there is opportunity for us as individuals to make adjustments that we need to make, no matter what the situation is, right? So I was born in this country. I'm just bringing it out. I was born in this country, my mother, my grandmother, and so forth. So I think that I'm a citizen of this country. So let's say when the whole thing blows over, I'm still here. They haven't put me somewhere foreign. Okay, what have I done in this window of time, this breath of fresh air, this eye of the storm that will position me in a better way when all of this shakes loose, regardless of what it's like? Do you know? Because there's going to be this land. It's not going to get swallowed up. So, if we maintain, how am I going to be? And I think that's an important thing to think about. I don't think it's selfish. I think it's important.
Yeah.
Because if I can't help me, I can't help anybody else. I don't care how good things are.
Right.
It's a window. It's an opportunity. And so when you said, what good? Yeah, there's a lot. The most of the negative, I think, is fear. But there is good that I can control, I believe. And
I agree.
Focus there. Yeah. So that was a long thing, but
well, there's a lot to go into here. And when the hurricane comes through, and we are, there's before the hurricane, and there's being in the eye of the hurricane, and there's more storm coming, and there's going to be after the hurricane. Our first priority is to survive the hurricane. And after that, there's the possibility of rebuilding, recreating, or reinventing something. Let's take a break and continue talking about belonging or not and whether we're enlightened or not.
Learn to put practical prayer to work in your life. The steps are simple to learn and let you begin to get real results to create the life of your dreams immediately. Reverend Bill Marcione's widely acclaimed book, Practical Prayer for Real Results, gives you a clear summary of the New Thought principles behind practical prayer and the series of easy-to-understand steps found in the most effective prayers from religions and spiritual practices all over the world and throughout history. Practical prayer is not a replacement for your religion or practice. It's a technique to make the work you do in consciousness even more effective. The book includes 40 prayers on various topics that you can adapt as needed and use as your own. Practical Prayer for Real Results is available in paperback, Kindle, and audiobook on Amazon or at b-the-light.com. That's b-the-light.com.
Welcome back to the Practical Prayer Podcast. I'm Carol, here with Reverend Dr. Bill Marcione.
We have a wonderful conversation about what happens as we move through the chaos. And something's going to happen. I mean, there's something new that's happening. And when we look at the past and we don't like it, it's troubled times. When we look at the past and we do like it, it's nostalgia. And stuff happened. You know, there was the space program, the whole Apollo program that got us to the moon. And in the middle of all of that, there was Apollo 13 that didn't make it to the moon and, you know, was a huge disaster and a lot of nail biting in the middle of that. And then we had the space shuttle program, and that was really good. And there were some problems with that as well. And then that ended. And was the space program good or bad? Was the shuttle program good or bad? And that's just one thing that we can look at. You know, you can look at the problems, you could look at the successes, you can look at the grand sweep of things. You can try and be pragmatic. You can pretend like you're not the families of some of the people who were on the shuttles that exploded. There are different ways to look at it, and something new is always happening. We're talking about belonging. As this is going on, how do we find our people? And it's interesting, in New Thought communities, a lot of times the people in the group describe the congregation as like-minded people. And I know what they mean, but what they mean is not actually what they're saying. Because on the one hand, there's one mind, and that mind is my mind, and we all share that one mind. So like-minded people is redundant. And on the other hand, if we're just looking for people who agree with us, then we can just use an echo chamber. We don't actually need to have other people. So there's some flavor and some variety that comes from finding people who we can connect with and ideas that we can deepen with. And those conversations, you know, you're telling me about, you know, you had who were the two ascended masters arguing in your head? Rumi and Neville?
Yeah.
And so the dialogue that happens becomes even richer than the perspective of one, even if that one's really valuable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it becomes fun if you, and I try to apply this to everything. If you don't grab onto what you think has to be, if you have a mindset that everything is valuable, every voice is valuable, every thought is valuable, even if the value of it is only to make you think about the previous thought even more, or, you know, to just decipher it or sieve it even more. It's taking you use the term present, powerful, and positive.
Mm-hmm.
And you use that in practical prayer. But also I remember that Jesus lived in the spirit of practical prayer always. So being present, powerful, and positive is something that I can apply to every situation that I'm in. And I'm doing that now. I have to. I absolutely have to, because it's just not just me involved. So what is present? Well, obviously I'm present in this, but
Mhm.
what is powerful and what's positive? The positive part is what is it's going to end. Okay. If you can't think of anything else, it's going to end. But the powerful part of it is what's in the present moment. And I'm thinking about the Euroclydon in Acts 27. I go back to that a lot. That's the most powerful destructive storm that we find in Scripture. And Paul said, "I told y'all don't do this, not to make this trip in the first place." And I find such a laugh in that, because I'm thinking, how many times were we warned about this, this, and this, and nobody listened, and bang, we're in the middle of this crazy storm, which is threatening lives and all of that. And so, but then after Paul said that very sarcastic remark, he said, "But I talked to God and there will be no loss of life." So in that, it made me think that what is our priority? The things that we have, the ideologies that we embraced, or actually our life. And with our life, we can recreate the better. And we can, with some presence of mind, the power is in letting go of certain things and knowing. So there's a lot of work to do, good work, and it can be fun work, I think,
Mhm.
in this craziness. And I shared when I first started, I said, I don't feel at home anymore. I don't feel community anymore. I don't, and I could go on with that. But then I say, hold on, Carol, what's really going on here? Because, all right, we're supposed to be at home with God and spirit and all that. But hey, come on. You'll feel that again, because I'll recreate what home looks like and feels like. And that may take a minute, but that's one of those things that you called infinite possibilities.
Mhm.
I never considered that before. I only considered what is, not what I can be a part of creating. So yeah, this is
The big piece of practical prayer is because nothing happens in a vacuum, And Ernest Holmes said that it is our ability to look a fact in the face and know something better. So the current situation could be as chaotic and upsetting and distasteful and icky as it is, or as it might have been at various times in the past. And dwelling on that doesn't help. And pretending it doesn't exist doesn't help. It's our ability to be present, as you started out talking about, being present with what is, being clear about what it is that we desire instead, and setting our intention on the objective of having that different experience that we're choosing rather than the one that has been showing up in our life so far. And it can change. It can get better.
Mhm.
Throughout history, it has in a lot of ways. Some things got worse. Some things got better.
One thing that's interesting, this conversation can just split off into so many different podcasts, but you just talked about together turning away from what we don't want to what we do want. And I'm big on collective consciousness and all that business. So this is such an opportunity for so many things. One is a greater sense of unity in humanity as a whole, but certainly with those of all of us who are experiencing struggle, fear, doubt, all of that. What can we do? This is kind of a fun thing that I would even challenge. What can we do if we get into the idea of collective consciousness? Let's all of us, as many of us would like to, let's get into what do we want and not what we don't want. The positive, like if it's just 10 people, let's do that for 10 days.
Mhm.
And I just believe that something will show up. If it doesn't show up on a national level, I think for those of us who are willing to say, hey, listen, let's get a grip on our little selves here and see what Spirit would show us in just 10 days.
Let's make that be the prayer. Let that be the prayer that we can close with. I'm going to change what I thought we were going to make it about it. Better in 10 days. Does that sound like too big of a reach?
I think it's perfect, really.
Cool.
Because it requires a bit of faith. And that's, this is a challenge. Let's go with the challenge.
All right. Let's take a break and come back and do that prayer. It's Reverend Bill letting you know that the Practical Prayer for Real Results class is now available on demand. That's right, you can take it at your own pace, anytime you want. All of the information is at BeTheLight.com. That's B-the-light.com. You know where to find that stuff. The class is 5 lessons, broken down into 18 modules, and you can take them at whatever pace is comfortable for you. As you work through the process, it starts out with the theory, goes into the practice, there are experiential activities and exercises, and at the end of the program, you will wind up with an understanding of how practical prayer works, and a practical prayer for yourself that will work to create transformation in your life. And as you know, it works for everything. Take a look at the class online at BeTheLight.com. There's a sample lesson so you can see how the class is going to work for you, and then dive in. The great news is it's on sale now. You can register and save $20 off of the regular price. I'm looking forward to seeing you in class.
Welcome back to the Practical Prayer Podcast. I'm Carol, here with Reverend Dr. Bill Marcioni.
We've been having a wonderful conversation about the chaos that's going on around us and how we deal with that and how we maintain our connection and our centeredness through these troubling times. And that's actually the prompt for the practical prayer for today is, as we're dealing with chaos and troubling times, as many of us feel like we are, and what do we do with that? How do we invite something to change? How do we invite something better? So this prayer is about inviting something better in 10 days. And that's a pretty short time window. And we don't know exactly what better means because it's different for everybody. But the claim, the invitation, the prayer is for the experience that we're seeing in the world around us with the chaos and the troubling times to somehow be better in 10 days. And we're going to do that by turning our attention away from the world, away from the details, away from the chaos and the troubling incidents that have been going on, and return our awareness to that one creative power, that one divine, loving presence. We call it God or Spirit or nature, the Creator, Big Bang, whatever it is we call it. It is that which has been sharing itself as its creation since the very beginning of time. Everything that exists everywhere, every person, every particle, every planet, everything that ever has been, everything that is, and everything that ever will be is that one divine presence taking its own specific and particular form. It is all God's love unfolding in its own way. And sometimes it doesn't look like it. Sometimes it looks like chaos. Sometimes it looks like troublemakers and troubling times. And still, it is that infinite love unfolding, inviting something new into being. And we're not going to pretend that we like it. And we're not going to claim that everything that's happened is bad. We're going to maintain our awareness that that one divine creative power that's created all of that has created each of us. That divine creative power is indwelling. It is the center and circumference, the truth of what we are. So that creative power is now working for us and through us and as us. And as we each individually and all together set the intention to experience life as something better, to have uplift and harmony, peace and prosperity, goodness and richness and sweetness for all of us in our own way, better than it has been, better than we've been expecting, and happening in the next 10 days. That's the claim I'm making now. And I know that infinite creative power that creates everything can do this. There is no power that stands in the way of it. once let loose, that power is unstoppable. So that infinite creative power, that divine presence, that limitless love is unfolding and revealing itself in a way that will be obviously better and in shorter, in 10 days, obvious to each of us in our own way. So that's the claim that I'm making. That's the intention that I'm setting. That is the word that I'm releasing into that same creative law that has created everything. I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the good. I'm grateful for the stories. I'm grateful for the willingness of each one to suspend disbelief and open to this possibility of better in that short time frame. And so with gratitude for all of this good, and knowing that the law is already responding, this creative power is already creating this newness, with a deep feeling of thanks for all this good, I speak this word and I release it into that creative law, and I know it's creating this goodness now. And I let it be. And so it is.
The Practical Prayer Podcast with Reverend Bill Marcioni and Carol Lawrence is a production of BeTheLight.com.
be-the-light.com,
where you can find more information about practical prayer for real results.
Our theme is by Music of Wisdom. You can learn about the spiritual community of New Thought Philadelphia with daily guided meditations,
Weekly celebrations of spirit
and Reverend Bill's classes in practical spirituality
at newthoughtphilly.org.
This podcast is supported by listeners like you. We're grateful for your tax-deductible donation at newthoughtphilly.org or the link in the episode description.